Good evening and welcome, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. Our top story, President Biden telling everyone to, quote, rest easy on price hikes this Thanksgiving as he spends the holiday at a billionaire's home in Nantucket. But Americans apparently not buying it. The president's approval rating hitting a new low in an NPR Marist poll. 42% approve of the job that he is doing right now. And the most important concern for the economy, 39% say it's inflation. Here now, Karl Rove, former senior advisor to President George W. Bush and a Fox Business contributor. Karl, great to see you tonight.
Great to see you, Jackie.
Let's talk about the poll numbers and let's talk about inflation, because President Biden isn't going to be talking about turkey prices this Thanksgiving, but you, me, everyone else across the country certainly is. And inflation is hitting home. It is hitting home hard. He says everything's going to be okay. Your thoughts?
Well, it's obviously not okay today, and that's his problem. You mentioned that 42% approval in the NPR Marist poll, and you're right. Inflation by itself is the number one economic concern Americans have, but also at 9% is gas prices, which also is an expression of inflation. So you really have 48% of the electorate saying their number one problem is rising prices and the inflation and the prices they're paying for things at the grocery store and the gas pump. And it's going to get worse, in my opinion. If you look at it, the overall approval number was 42. If you look at the Real Clear Politics average of Biden's approval on the economy, it's 38% approve, 56% disapprove. So other things like COVID or foreign relations or whatever are keeping him slightly higher among the overall approval than the approval that he's getting on the economy. And I say it's going to be difficult for that to turn around quickly, because the Real Clear Politics average, 28.7% of the people in recent polls think the country's going in the right direction. 62.8% say the country's off going in the wrong direction. That shows a sourness about the economy and about the leadership of this president that's going to be hard, if not impossible, to turn around.
Yeah, and it's a serious problem for most people, right? When we look at our paychecks, when we look at the money that we have, our disposable income, that's one of the decision factors that we consider when we go to the polls. And so many are saying this is a turning point for this Biden presidency. He let things go way too far. This emergency tapping of the SPR, for example, not really going to help the crisis at the gas pump, and that the midterms are going to be the point where the American people stand up and they take a stand.
Yeah, look, I think things like letting oil out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the SPRO, it makes the problem worse, not better, because we know it's not going to have an impact. They're letting out 32 million additional barrels. There were 18 million that had already been approved by Congress to be sold when the price got high in order to generate a little revenue for the government. So all they're doing is taking that 18, putting 32 million barrels more. That is 2.6 days worth of energy use by the U.S. It's less than half a day's worth of energy use by the world economy. That's not going to have a big impact, and it's going to make it worse when people say, you're just trying to fool me. It didn't have an impact, and you're misleading me.
And what's really interesting that you bring up the gas prices, right? The national average is $3.40. It's ticked down 1 cent as we've watched oil prices come down. I've covered this for a long time. What happens is the prices go up real fast. It takes a lot longer for them to come down, and that's just when we're talking about gas. My feeling is when you look at what's happening in the supermarket, we're going to have the same kind of situation on our hands, and that this inflation is not going to be transitory as the administration wants it to be, but that it's going to be far more long-lasting, and it's going to have an impact. You are older than I am, sir. You tell me the last time you remember prices going up and then all of a sudden miraculously overnight coming down.
Well, you'd have to be really, really old in order to remember that, because I don't think it's really ever happened that way. I mean, inflation, once it gets built into the system, takes a while to get wrung out, and it doesn't get wrung out overnight. And certainly, the inflation we're seeing here is in part the result of too much money chasing too few goods. That is to say, the government spending too much money. It's also the aftermath of the pandemic. One of the reasons why energy prices have risen is because during the pandemic, a lot of oil companies lost critical personnel, and it's hard to get them back. But we're also talking about the impact of the government's policies, not just the spending, but their policies. Think about it. First thing they do is kill a key pipeline. That means that energy getting out of the Bakken is a lot more expensive and more difficult. Then they put a halt on all new leasing on federal lands and in federal waters. A federal judge in June says you did that on January 27th, but you had no authority to do it. Yeah. Now they're slow rolling applications for leases on federal lands and in federal waters. They've gone down from there. I think last month was 171. Earlier this spring, from the ones that were already in the pipeline when the president came into office, were 640 in 1 month. And all of that, again, less production means supplies get tight, which means prices go up. And they want prices to go up. Let's not kid ourselves.
It makes alternative energy look more attractive, and that works for their narrative. Karl, in just the last 10 seconds that I have with you, the jobless claims this morning, 199,000. That was encouraging. Many people are pointing to that and saying, oh, see, all of a sudden everything's getting better overnight. Your thoughts?
That's not what the polls say. The polls say that people think the country is by a margin of better than 2.5 to 1. The country's going in the wrong direction. That's not going to change with one number. People are paying the economic price at the pump and at the grocery store. That's what's driving the sourness on the economy.
Karl Rove, great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, Jackie.
Thank you.